Hi everyone, this is Suzanne Wagner and welcome to the Daily Numerology and Astrology for July 25th, 2020. If you add all those numbers together, you get the number 18, and if you add the 1 and the 8 together, you get the number 9. The number 9 is the number of empathy, intuition, psychic ability, mysticism, and magic. It's the number of art and creativity, the right brain, intuition, really feeling into those deeper emotional flows that are happening and starting to try to understand what those emotions are really about. I think right now that becomes a super critical thing. I think that people in power have intended to ignore the suffering of other people, and there's a point where you can't ignore the screams and the suffering that other people are going through. And if you do, there are going to be big consequences, which is what's going to happen right here. So remember I said that August is going to be a wild ride. September is going to be a wilder ride. October is going to be a wilder ride again still. November is going to be a nightmare on Elm Street. And in December, it'll start to change and settle down a little bit, but there's still going to be a ton of drama all the way through January. So I tell you that just to batten down the hatches and kind of get really solid within yourself and stay focused on what you need to stay focused on. So since it's a 9-day, and a 9-day is an intuition day, I intend to do this day full on at the moment. I want to spend the day in deep meditation and contemplation on the suffering within this world and within humanity at this time. And from that deep place, clearly from the core of my being, I intend to reject the bullshit that is happening and find the courage to stand up for what is right and good in the world. I reject the notion that we cannot come together. I reject the notion that corporations have the right to manipulate and confuse their employees to get them to take cuts and to take less in order to keep their jobs. I reject that powerful people and groups have the right to monopolize our government to line their own pockets. What such people forget is that we are not machines, that they can program to do what they want us to say and do. We are powerful souls of conscience, love, and light. You can never take my power from me because I will never let you. I will never give up my core values that are my foundation and the glue that allow me to coexist in this dimension. That foundation was built brick by brick from my experiences, and it has been torn down and rebuilt also many times. Because of that, I feel clear and strong about what it is I have built, and I know that foundation can carry me through rough waters, even these gigantic waves of change that are happening at this moment in time. If you are a person that needs the agreement of others, then you are a parasite that wants to find and feed on those unsuspecting souls that are not strong enough to know how to wade through the chaos that others spin. I know how to find my way out of that carnival and that they have created. Do you? When in doubt, you are welcome to walk the path that I have generated for centuries. It is filled with moments of challenge and it will take you to the edge of your old world, but you will bypass the marauding hordes that are out to steal from you and take everything they can to leave you in the dirt to attempt to reclaim what is left of your soul. So that sounds like a lot of strong words. I know it's like everybody's going, oh God, Suzanne, like this. But, it really is this place where right now we have to pull in and we have to go within and do that deep introspective meditation because no one's going to do it for us. I mean, really, no one is going to do this for you. You actually have to do this for yourself in whatever way, shape, and form. As we've been going through this pandemic, I fortunately have lots of little projects and I have lots of things that I've wanted to do and lots of things that I've gotten to and are really playing with. And I'm super grateful that I have a husband here, and so we're in quarantine, but it's just the two of us, and we're working together, and we work really well together, and so everything flows really well together. So there's not a lot of drama, and there's not a lot of upset. There's like this surrender, like, oh God, we're going to take on the upper building. Okay, okay, we're going to do this. And we're just doing it because why not? Why not? We have the time to kind of go here and do this. But it's that place when people surrender their own intuitive knowing in favor of information that is out there that is designed to twist and knuckle you down and make you feel powerless and make you feel hopeless. The irony is that I was feeling a lot more hopeless before all this energy broke, because I was like, oh God, this thing is going to break, and I could feel it was going to break, and I thought, oh, there's like 5 ways this could break, and it could break really, really badly. And honestly, when this broke, I was so happy it broke the way it broke, and all of a sudden I could relax, because I was like, okay, I know how this is going to go now. I have lived through enough lifetimes that I go, this is going to be the pattern that's going to unfold, because we have a pandemic, and this, we're going to see a lot in this, but it could have been much worse than this. I mean, it really could, and it still might be much worse than this as we get closer to the election. But the whole idea here is to claim your inner intuitive self, your inner knowingness to the best of your ability. And I know that that's a hard thing to do if you've actually never done it. It's really simple. Intuition is really simple. You do what is right. You do what causes no harm. It's not hard. You do what doesn't leave you an icky feeling. You do what helps other people stand up and contribute. You do things that in the end make you feel better, that you tried and you were justified in it, including if you feel like you need to protest and you get out there and protest and you feel good about peacefully protesting, even in the face of, people with tear gas canisters in your face and stuff. You felt like that was the right thing for you to do, then that is what you should be doing, if that's what your intuition calls you to do. And everyone is at a different place with all of this. So kind of listen. Sometimes having a day of contemplation and really considering things is really important. I mean, it's super, super important. And it brings sanity back to center, because so many things right now are trying to be not on center. Okay, the astrology for today. The moon is trying to balance out a lot of imbalance, and thank goodness it's in Libra. At least we have a fighting chance when it's in Libra. But the imbalances will need to be addressed and fixed. No more waiting. You have to deal with the problems right now. There is no more putting off till tomorrow. Be fair, just, noble, and generous, because you can, and people really appreciate a bit of kindness right now. And the moon opposes Mars and squares Mercury today, making tensions seem more tense, disagreeable, impatient, and aggressive. Being ignored is not good right now. That makes a bad situation worse, and tolerance go right out the window. Now, when people have no more wiggle room, bad things begin to happen. The Davids of the world will decide to confront the Goliaths. Sides do not matter when the enemy is clearly defined. Expect people to be temperamental and touchy. Don't challenge anyone, because you will get challenged right back. This evening, the moon and Mars are going to excite your passions. Things are getting stirred up, and you will need to prepare to take action. Expect to be emotionally challenged. Your heart is at odds with what you know needs to be done. There are some tough choices ahead. Be careful, be kind, and consider the broader implications of what is happening. Okay, my quote for today. We complain the loudest when we are in pain. When we are not heard, we will do it again. The louder we get, the more anger comes out. We don't really want to do all that screaming and shout. But if that is what it takes to stop the lies, if that is what it takes to see the terror in your eyes and recognize that you have gone too far, perhaps then you will reconsider your choice of a czar. But be careful now, because holding that line of hate is going to get angry mobs outside your pristine gates. You are not guiltless when you wear religion as a disguise. Your real intentions show through your choices and lies. We see who you are and know more than you believe. Your protected tower is not as secure as it seems. Okay, so trying to take a story off the news and trying to do a blog off the news at the moment. I thought I'd tell the story of in the process of not deciding to not be a ballet dancer. Okay, so the transition for a ballet dancer from dance to not dance is a huge one, because you're used to kind of being catered to. You're used to being told where you're supposed to be in rehearsals and all this kind of stuff. And so, dancers are a little bit of a princess. And in certain countries, they actually have organizations that help dancers and professional athletes retire, because it's such a huge ego change. It's such a huge identity shift that a lot of dancers will, get ill. They'll commit suicide. They'll, they're so used to a certain discipline and center. And when you don't have that, it can be really, really frightening. So about 3 years before I retired, I actually knew I was supposed to retire. And it's one of those horrible things when you know that the writing is on the wall and you know that you're going to have to make a transition. Unfortunately, my father had warned me that I would have to do this transition at a younger age than most people, because some people manage to do the same job until they're 60, right? But ballet dancers rarely get that as an opportunity. There are exceptions to the rules in Ballet West that, you transition and you go into being the ballet teacher or the rehearsal directress or something like that. But most people transition out. And I had no intention of staying in. I had the intention of transitioning out. But what was happening was that the roles were sort of repeating. And part of it is because, I'm a tall person and I can't play Giselle because I can't look 12. And, so I'm always, the big, bad, nasty dancer, the mother, the witch, the queen, the big swan, the, something. And so I'm much taller than most other people on stage, and so, I'm limited in my choices and options. So, but it was really hard. It's like I didn't know how to retire and what was next and how I was going to get there, because the dancer's schedule also is incredibly demanding. So I decided to go to massage school, and there was a massage school that was opening, and this is where you look for the synchronicities in life. I was literally crossing a street corner downtown over by the theater in Salt Lake, and I was on Main Street, and here was a Rolfer who I knew, and I was crossing the street, and there he was, and he says, "Oh, how are you?" And I said, yeah," and I'm like looking at retiring, and I'm thinking about going to massage school, and he's like, "Oh, well, I'm just starting a massage school," and I was like, You're starting a massage school." And so I was in his first class doing massage, and so trying to do a full-time ballet schedule and do massage school and try to do some university classes just to see if I wanted to kind of go that direction was a lot. It was a tremendous amount. And number one, I was broke by the end of it. So the classes even back then were expensive. Now they're ridiculously expensive, but back then they were expensive. And, if you're only making like $380 a week, which is what I was making as a ballet dancer, most people forget that, you can imagine it doesn't go very far. And so, budgeting and trying to put all these things together, it was tough. So, anyway, I was going to massage school. I was enjoying it. I thought it was going to be great. And I decided the university probably wasn't the direction, so I was letting that go. But in the process of all of this, we were doing a big production, that was called Abdullah, and there was it was going to be a huge world production, and I was not showing up for some classes simply because I was in school and I was trying to juggle all the school and somehow managed to be in rehearsals and everything. And in the process of that, the rehearsal directress who was creating this particular ballet had made it clear, because of other choices, that she had never let me in her ballets, that she did not like me. And so the casting went up, and as the casting went up, I was not in the ballet. I was not in the ballet. And it's kind of a shock when you're not in a world premiere, like, and you're a soloist and you're not in a world premiere, and it's kind of a shock. And so, I went up to her and I said, hey, I think there might be a mistake. I'm not even understudying a corps de ballet member, and she was like, she goes, well, I don't like you, and I just think you're not a Bournonville dancer. And I was surprised because I was probably the only dancer that was actually trained in Bournonville there. But again, I wasn't in her little Bournonville classes because I was in school, right? So I was trying to do 3 things at once. And every rehearsal directress is entitled to their opinion. And so I'm like, well, Peter Schoff has picked me out to do principal roles with him, and he's a Bournonville dancer, and we were doing La Sylphide and Les Sylphides, and those are Bournonville, and so but you're entitled to your opinion. And so it was this interesting transition that it was like the door was opening for massage and the door was closing with ballet, and it became really obvious that the door was closing with ballet. And so I was trying to figure out my next steps on how to navigate those transitions, because they're tough transitions. And so I still wasn't quite ready to quit, but again, things were happening and circumstances were happening that I was getting pushed more and more into administrative positions rather than dancer positions, which is again sort of like a warning shot over the bow of the boat that, you're about to get fired or laid off or something like that. And so I opted to quit when I was on top. I opted to quit when I was ahead. And it was so interesting because my friend Marianne and I both did this at the same time. And we were both really grateful that we did it at that time, because the other dancers that didn't do that, a year and a half later got fired, so he basically let go of all of the older principal dancers in one fell swoop. And I would have been on that list too. So, but I could see the writing on the wall. My friend Marianne could see the writing on the wall. And we say to this day, we're so grateful that we were able to gracefully walk out at the top and not be pushed out when you're feeling like you're at the bottom. So, but that transition is still, an incredibly hard transition. And fortunately, I heard the guides say to me that if you move now, it will be easy. If you move later, it won't be easy. And it was really magical how things just sort of came together on a lot of levels that allowed me to, get my massage license, get the certificate, end up working in a medical doctor's office. So because massage therapists were kind of considered prostitutes in Utah because of a grandfather clause, where if you had an affidavit that said you had worked on these 60 clients and they signed a paper saying that you'd worked on them for 5 or 10 years, you got a massage license. So all of the prostitutes got massage licenses. And so at first, when I had my business, I had all of these men coming in that were looking for something else. And it was interesting because I was like, well, you're going to get a great massage, but you're not going to get anything else. And, you have the Vice Squad coming in, checking you out. And, the health department comes in and goes, oh, you're like really a massage therapist. I'm like, well, yeah, I'm like really a massage therapist. So these are those crazy transitional times. But, all the pieces sort of fell together in a weird way. And so that I was able to gracefully get out and have that transition and have that experience. And, whenever there's change, it's not comfortable. And I wanted to kind of tell the story because, I'm a Leo, and everybody thinks that because you're a Leo, that everything works so smoothly for you. And that's totally not true. But I think where I'm proud of myself is that I have listened to my intuition, and I have really tried to jump when the universe said jump, even when it seemed ridiculous at the time. And I had the guild people saying to me, why are you quitting? You're at the top of your game. And I'm like, yeah, but I don't feel like I'm at the top of my game. So, listen to your intuition. Everybody needs to start listening to your intuition. It's not going to seem logical to do certain transitions that you're going to be required to do, and do them anyway. And, and do your best to sit today and drop in and really ask yourself some really deep questions about where do you see yourself in 5 years, and what are the steps that you're going to have to do to take you there. And recognize that you cannot depend on governments to carry you, unemployment to carry you, Social Security to carry you, Medicare to carry you. You're really going to have to figure out how to stand on your own 2 feet, and you do need to be prepared. And so really think those things through. Okay, thanks everybody. Bye.